Hello and welcome dear students to a series of grammar in use. In this video we are going to explore action and state verbs. You are requested to take a pen and notepad and get ready to take down certain pointers and construct sentences as we go along. Let us dive into it. Action and state words. First of all, we need to understand what is the difference between an action word or a state word. Generally in the junior classes, children tend to learn only verbs as action words or doing words, but as you come along in the senior section, you tend to know more verbs which do not do any action. They represent certain state of being or feeling, etc. So they are known as state words or stative verbs. Now let us begin. Verbs that describe actions or events are known as action or dynamic verbs or doing verbs or verbs. Whereas those that describe states, the state of being, are known as state or stative verbs. Kindly make a note of this, state or stative verbs. You can explore more about it. The first pointer that we have is regarding the action and state verbs, and we'll establish the difference between the two right away. Action verbs usually describe what people or things do. So that means these words show certain kind of actions. We know them as action words. For example, I read a book. I am reading a book. And one interesting fact about the action word is that you can change it to a continuous form. Action verbs can be used in simple form and continuous form. Whereas now let us explore the state verbs. State verbs usually say how things are, that means their state of being, and how someone feels, the feeling. They do not do any action as such. Now the state verb, I love books. Over here, love is a verb, but it is not doing any action. So it is a state verb. Some verbs are not usually used in continuous form. You cannot say I'm loving books. It is incorrect because the word love is a state verb. Now let us see certain examples based on the rule that we have just seen. And taking you back to the color, remember purple is for action verb and the red is for the state verb. Now let us explore. You will get a better idea as you see the examples. Dominic is eating ice cream. Now its eating is continuous tense. It is an action word. We can understand some action is going on. So over here is eating. Eating is an, or the word eat is an action word. Gail is lying on the couch. Is lying or lie, lie is an action word. So over here we know that lying is an action word. This is a negative connotation. I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. Over here, eat is showing some action, so it is an action word. Now let's explore certain additional verbs. I want to go away somewhere. Over here, want is a verb, but it is not showing any action. So it is a state verb. She has two cats and a dog. There is no main verb over here, but an auxiliary. Over here, this has is not doing any main action as such. It is showing some kind of a possession. So it is a state verb over here. We have known each other for years. Now known, it is not knowing or that continuous tense, it is known. It's a state of being, so that is acquaintance. So over here the verb is again not doing any action. We call this verb as a state verb. I hope the concept of action verb and the state verb is clear with these examples. Now let us see certain common errors pertaining to the state verb in continuous tenses. Most state verbs cannot be used in continuous forms. Now, when I say most, it is that certain verbs can be used. All right. So, most of the verbs cannot be used in the continuous or the ing form. State verbs are only used in the simple form. I want a new laptop. This is correct because it is used in the simple form only. You never say I'm wanting a new laptop. This construction is completely incorrect. State verbs can't usually be used in continuous form. Now when we say usually, we will come across certain pointers where certain verbs do play a dual role. Now, the next pointer that we have is that using state verbs in continuous form. Previously, we have learned that certain state verbs or most of the state verbs cannot be taken in ing form. But we do have certain verbs, those can change from state verbs to action words. Let us see. Some verbs can be both action verbs and state verbs. When these verbs are describing an action, they can be used in continuous form. So certain state verbs can show certain actions. Let us explore the actions. I am thinking about taking up fencing. Now, as per this construction, I am thinking, it means that right now I'm considering taking up fencing. I want to build some kind of fence. So it is an action. This thinking is an action. But when you say, I think fencing is a great sport, over here you mean, in your opinion, fencing is a great sport. Over here, the word think is not doing any action. So, this particular word think, in this context, it is a state verb, whereas in this context, it is an action verb. And the word think can be used in both the contexts, but the meaning is completely different. The next construction that we have is the chef was tasting his soup. Over here, tasting is an action. It means testing. The chef was testing the flavor of the soup. So we can it can qualify as an action word over here, tasting. Whereas this soup tasted disgusting. Tasted disgusting, that means the kind of feeling that it gave was a disgusting feeling. So over here, tasted is a state verb. The soup has a disgusting flavor. The next construction that we have is I am seeing some friends for lunch tomorrow. Over here, seeing is that it means I'm meeting some friends tomorrow. Over here, some action is taking place. That means the act of meeting. So this word seeing can be considered as an action verb in this construction. Whereas when we have the construction, I saw some birds at the park yesterday, this is a state. That means you see with your eyes, but you do not do any action as such. There were some birds at the park. That's all. So it is a state verb over here. It's quite difficult to differentiate if you are given to classify, but you need to ask yourself questions whether it is the state of being, is it an opinion, or is it performing certain action, moving around, etc. A few state verbs can be used in continuous forms, keeping their stative meaning. That means their stative meaning is intact, but the construction is with ing. The use of continuous form emphasizes a change or a development or a temporary situation. Now, this is quite interesting that the state verb with ing form showing change, development, or a temporary situation. Let us see. Are you feeling better today? You seemed sick yesterday. Now, over here, feeling is again a state or a feeling that gives the state of meaning. But the construction is with ing, that is continuous form. But the meaning again remains the same, that is the state of being or a feeling. The stative words give a feeling. The simple form is how do you feel about modern art? Here it is in the simple form and it is the stative verb. We are sounding much better than usual. Over here sounding is with ing. Now you sound better but you do not produce any kind of noise as such, so it is still carrying out its stative meaning, the construction is with ing. Now if you look at this construction, I wish they had stopped the sound terrible. There should be a comma there. They sound terrible. Over here, this is actually the kind of feeling it is giving, that is terrible. So the stative meaning remains as such, and the construction is simple over here, and the construction is continuous over here. But the meaning is the stative meaning. My leg is really hurting this morning. Now the leg is not doing any action. It is hurting. ing form. So the meaning is again stative, that is it's giving a kind of feeling. And over here in this construction, my leg hurts. It is again the leg is not doing any action. It is causing some kind of feeling. Maybe I should go to the doctor. So the stative meaning remains in the simple form here, and the stative meaning remains in the continuous form in this construction. With this, we have come to the end of the video. If you like the video, click on like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for your kind attention.